The price and release date for PSVR 2 have been disclosed by Sony, but the lineup for PSVR 2's first day of availability has not yet been announced. However, as PSVR 2 launches on February 22nd, we're adding more games to our running list. Here is a list of all PSVR 2 games that have been announced so far, which we hope will grow quickly. For more information on what makes PSVR 2 hardware different from the first, be sure to read our in-depth hands-on launch day games have not yet been listed. In our list, we first look at the games that Sony has specifically mentioned, then we look at the steadily increasing number of studios that have promised to support PSVR 2 in the future. Moss and Moss, Book 2. When PSVR 2 launches in February of next year, Moss and its follow-up Moss, Book 2 will both be among the first games available. Both games follow the exploits of a diminutive hero named Quill as he explores a dangerous world full of enemies and challenging puzzles. Both allegedly feature enhanced lighting and textures as well as greater visual detail. Players can anticipate eye tracking to highlight important items, a 2-controller setup, improved haptics, and adaptive triggers for increased immersion when picking up items when using PSVR 2's hardware. Horizon Call of the Mountain. Contrary to what the trailer might imply, Horizon Call of the Mountain is not a hollow VR experience or a log flume ride. Instead, the first VR adaptation of the Horizon universe, created by Sony's first-party Guerrilla Games and Firesprite Studios, will be a real story campaign that, according to the developers, will take about 7 hours to complete. The game will also include some additional content. Star Wars: Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. In the action-adventure game Star Wars: Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, you play a droid repairman working close to the Outer Rim. This will be the first time this run-and-gun, Star Wars-inspired adventure is made available outside of the Meta ecosystem after being first released on MetaQuest in 2020. Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil Village will be available on PSVR 2, and Capcom claims it will offer an even deeper immersive experience by fully utilizing the vivid graphics made possible by the headset's 4K HDR display, PlayStation VR 2's eye tracking, PS5's 3D audio, and more. This base game's free DLC update features Lady Dimitrescu. Resident Evil 4. Although this particular Resident Evil 4 is a different kind of classic zombie shooter, it is already available on Quest 2. Since the game that will be released on PSVR 2 is a remake, this time around we won't just be getting higher resolution textures, everything will be brand new. We're hoping the VR support is as good as the Quest 2 version and significantly superior to RE7 Biohazard, which wasn't terrible but is deteriorating due to its 2017 release date. Demio. Demio is a VR version of a dungeon-crawling tabletop RPG that was developed by Resolution Games, a veteran of virtual reality. Since its release in 2021, it has performed remarkably well on Quest 2 and PC VR headsets, thanks in part to its basement-themed No Man's Sky. The story of redemption continues as Hello Games promises to bring its space exploration simulator to PSVR 2, along with all of the subsequent patches and DLC releases that transformed it from a procedurally generated empty shell to a world genuinely brimming with possibilities. The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, one of VR's most well-liked recent titles, is fully followed up by this. Similar to the first game in the series, you'll scavenge through a post-apocalyptic New Orleans that's teeming with both rival gangs that you can choose to join or engage in combat with, as well as the undead. You will need to consider your options carefully before charging into that group of walkers due to the game's physics-based combat, limited ammo supplies, and delicate stamina system. Firewall Ultra. Although Firewall Ultra is undoubtedly the franchise's next entry, it's unclear how much new content we'll be getting with First Contact's upcoming Firewall game, which like the original promises tactical squad-based shooting action across a variety of maps. In the future, updates for more of everything will be released along with legacy maps, characters, and weapons. The Dark Pictures Switchback VR. The Dark Pictures Switchback VR, or what it describes as a fast-paced roller coaster action horror shooter where every move you make, and everything you see, could mean the difference between life and death, was unveiled by Supermassive Games. Switchback VR, set in the ominous world of the Dark Pictures anthology, makes good use of the eye-tracking capabilities of the headset. Some enemies only move when you blink. Crossfire Sierra Squad. Crossfire Sierra Squad, a first-person shooter set in the Crossfire universe, is a brand new VR title that Smilegate dropped a trailer for. As you fight against AI enemies, the game can be played either solo or in co-opus mode with up to 4 players on a team. 39 different types of weapons, according to the studio, including pistols, rifles, throwable and returnable grenades, and sniper rifles with groundbreaking scope mechanics give you plenty of options to take out 17 different types of enemies. The Light Brigade. The Light Brigade, a new single-player roguelike game from Functronic Labs, is filled with immersive gunplay and moody mystery, according to the company. As you advance in the Light Brigade and gain access to new weapons and spells, you can unravel the mystery of the dark sunken world. Beginning on November 15th, The Light Brigade will be up for pre-order. Hello Neighbor, Search and Rescue. A VR adaptation of the popular independent game Hello Neighbor has been announced by Tiny Build Games and Steel Wool Studios, and it will be available cross-buy on PSVR and PSVR 2. There is nothing quite as spooky as actually seeing that familiar shadow tower over you just before everything goes black, according to Tiny Build, who says Peterson's creepy house takes on a new level of immersion in VR. Starting on November 15th, Hello Neighbor, Search and Rescue will be up for pre-order. Pistol Whip VR. The PSVR version of the acclaimed physical action rhythm game from Cloudhead Games will receive a free update for PSVR 2, which will allow players to blast, duck, and dodge their way through a dreamlike environment to become the ultimate action hero. This game features dynamic music and thrilling gunplay that collide to create an unforgettable gaming experience. Cities VR Enhanced Edition. Fast Travel Games was able to bring Cities Skylines to VR with its initial launch on Quest earlier this year, albeit in a slightly smaller package to run on VR hardware. Smaller, as in the size of your city, you're actually a Godzilla-sized Goliath towering over your tiny town as you oversee all of its structures and maintain city planning. Cosmonious High. The award-winning VR titles Job Simulator and its follow-up Vacation Simulator are two examples of Alchemy Labs' highly engaging, extremely approachable games. We can't wait to see our avatars come to life using the eye tracking in PSVR 2, which launched a few months ago on Quest and PC VR headsets. Zenith, The Last City. Zenith, The Last City, an MMORPG from Ramen VR, is now available for PSVR 2. It was a huge success on Kickstarter. This well-realized VR native game, which was supposed to be released on day one, has hundreds of hours of content. Tentacular. Fire Punch Games is bringing its Wild Adventure, which was first released on Quest and PC VR, where you play as a colossal but kind-hearted tentacled beast trying to find your place in the world. A strange and incredibly potent energy source needs your assistance to be researched by your human friends. As you progress, you'll be able to access new playground equipment by figuring out a mammoth array of action-packed challenges and building related puzzles. After the Fall. The co-op zombie shooter from Vertigo Games, which was previously released on PC VR, Quest, and the original PSVR, is coming to PSVR 2 in an improved form. If you've never heard of it, it's basically Left 4 Dead in virtual reality. You can play it solo or with friends in complete levels while slaying enormous hordes of zombie baddies. Invest in better equipment and return for more. Jurassic World Aftermath Collection. This two-part psychological dino thriller was first presented by Coates Inc. to Quest and features a tense cat and mouse chase with a gang of raptor villains. Check out our spoiler-free review of parts 1 and 2 on Quest to learn more about what to expect. Use your eyes and ears to alert you to impending doom, and hide from certain death if you can. Alter Breaker. Alter Breaker, developed by Thirdverse, the company behind Swords of Gargantua, is a sword-fighting game with a map-based interface. The studio says the adventure is for players who want to experience stylish sword-fighting action and feel like the hero in an anime world, but you can go it alone or join a group of 3 friends. X8. Along with Quest 2 and PC VR, Thirdverse is also creating the multiplayer shooter X8, which is scheduled to debut on the PSVR 2. The 5v5 hero shooter, which is currently in development by Thirdverse's US-based studio, is expected to debut on those other platforms this winter before eventually making its way to PSVR 2. Fantasvision 202X. Fantavision is a puzzle game with a fireworks theme that was first offered for the PlayStation 2 in 2000. A brand new version of the game using the Unreal Engine is available for PSVR 2. The game is a masterful fusion of puzzles, action, shooting, and strategy. You can experience an immersive experience while lighting up the starry sky with brilliant fireworks using the PSVR 2 headset and PSVR 2 Sense controller. The Tale of Onagoro. Amada KK, the person behind the escape game Last Labyrinth, is back with a cooperative story. Players of the PSVR 2 will soon be thrust into a dangerous and mysterious parallel world that was first introduced on Quest. You'll team up with Hal, a shrine maiden from the island of Onagoro. The island is inhabited by 5 enormous, deadly kami, so she is not the only one there. Kazuna AI, Touch the Beat. You play as a spectator at Kazuna AI's stage performance. Utilizing your penlight, strike the notes that are flying your way while keeping up with the song's rhythm. Both note speeds and levels are variable. Test out the various difficulties until you find one you like. Dishronia, Chrono's Alternate. Ocean City, a Strumclose, 0.1% crime rate. Dreams are used in this picture-perfect city to ensure that crime is stopped in its tracks. In a rare, theoretically unthinkable incident, the creator of this alleged paradise is killed. Hal Cyan, a special supervisor, has been tasked with cracking the case's peculiar puzzle and saving the city from impending disaster. Other games announced for PSVR 2. 2MD, VR Football Unleashed All-Star, Truant Pixel, Across the Valley, Fusion Play, Affected, The Asylum, Fallen Planet Studios, Aliens VR, Survias, Alvo, Martinpal, Afterlife VR, Splitlight Studio, Among Us VR, Shell Games and Innersloth, Black Top Hoops, Vinsai Games, Black Trail, Red Horizon, Distortion VR, Future Mental Games, Do Not Open, Nox Noctis, Dropship Commander, Strange Games Studios, Engram, Maze Theory, Firmament, Cyan Worlds, The Exorcist Legion VR, Sin, Pocket Money Games, Galaxy Carts, VR Monkey, Ghostbusters VR, Dreams, Sony Pictures Virtual Reality, Ghosts of Tabber, Combat Waffle, Golf Plus, Golfscope Inc., Green Hell VR, Incuvo, Grimlord, Metal Cat Interactive Technology, Hellsplit Arena, Deep Type Games, Hubris, Cyborn, Hypistax, Squirrel Bites, Kayak VR, Mirage, Better Than Life, The Last Worker, Wired Productions, LONN, Sixth Sense Studios, Lo-Fi, Iris VR, Madison, Bloodiest Games, Medieval Dynasty, Render Cube, Mixture, Played with Fire, Neolithic Dawn, James Bellion, Pavlov, Bankrupt Games, Project Lausiana, The Bounds VR, Build the Light Studio, Propagation Paradise Hotel, Native Studio, Requisition, Arcadia VR, Runner, True in Pixel, Samurai Slaughterhouse, Tab Games, Shadowgate VR, The Minds of Mythrock, Zodjoy LLC, and Azure Drop Studios, Song in the Smoke, Rekindled, 17-bit, Soul of Keru, Brain Up, Stranger Things, The VR Experience, Tender Claws, Super Kit, To the Top, Electric Hat Games, Tin Hearts, Rogue Sun, The Twilight Zone VR, Pocket Money Games, Ultrawings 2, Bit Planet Games, Volcanic Core, Synthesis Universe, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners Chapter 1, Skydance Interactive, Wandering in Space, Moonseer Games, Unannounced PSVR 2 games, Arceac Sci-Fi Game, Firesprite Horror Game, Vitruvius VR Sci-Fi Game. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and support my channel.